Hi everybody, welcome to my mini workshop, and in today's session we're going to be focusing on our self-introduction. We're going to be finding out how to be a little bit more confident talking about ourselves and talking about our businesses as well. But before we go into the main activities, I would just like you to write down or think about and rate your speaking skills out of 10. 10 being amazing, I could stand on stage and present to anybody feeling really confident, and 0 being I really need to have a lot of help speaking in public, really dire these skills that I have with speaking. Whereabouts are you on that scale? Just have a little think about that. And what we're going to do over the course of this mini workshop is to be able to change that number for you, to make sure that you feel a lot more confident, to make sure that you're able to speak with clarity and you're able to introduce yourself and your business to anybody that you meet, not just in networking events, but if a person on the street asks you, what do you do? Then you're able to answer that with confidence. So let me talk to you a little bit about myself. So hi, my name is Emily. I'm a voice and communications coach, and I run my own business called Speaking Voices. I actually started off as an actor, and I thought, to become a really good actor, what do I need to do? And that's when I thought about it, and I was like, oh, the answer is in the voice. To become a really good actor, you need to be able to have a really good voice. Because what I didn't want to do is just to memorize the script, just think about the words and then just say the words out loud. I wanted to really embody the characters and really think about the emotions each line had, and to be able to play that character authentically. And this is where I trained and did a master's in voice specifically. And I thought, all of these techniques that they're teaching me on this course is not just for acting, for actors or performers, it's really for anybody who communicates. And I started to have this idea, and now for my business, I really help empower individuals to speak with confidence and help them to express themselves and their ideas authentically. So that's a little bit about me. With these exercises that we're going to go and do in a moment, it really comes from my one-to-one signature program. And within my signature program, I have this framework called body, mind, and voice. So with the voice, that's always the last thing that people, I would say, you need to think about. People would always say, public speakers, they're like, oh yeah, just practice, you know, your voice will get better over time. But for me as a voice coach, the voice is always the last thing, because it's not necessarily what words you use or really, you know, how you say them. We have to think a little bit before that. We want to think about, okay, the mind, well, the thought that comes up. Sometimes people overthink in this particular section, and we overthink and the time passes and then we don't say whatever it is that we want to say. We regret saying it, or we go, oh, should have said that, didn't say it. And in that sense, we are not aligning our mind with what we are saying. But before we think about the mind and our thoughts, we want to be able to think about the body, and the body is really the feeling that we have inside. Well, once we're able to feel how we feel and it aligns with us, then we have the thought. Once we have the thought, then we are able to say the words. So it's almost a 3-step process that I'll be taking you throughout during these exercises that we're going to do when we're talking about our self-introduction. So for this exercise, we're going to be spending a little bit of time relaxing, visualizing, and also speaking out loud. So do make sure that you are sitting comfortably, and make sure you're in a place where you can speak a few sentences out loud. And then afterwards, we'll be writing down our self-introduction because we would have already spoken this. And then we will be able to come back together and reflect on how it felt for you. And this might be a different way of practicing a self-introduction that you might not have done before either. So just allow yourself to sit comfortably. Allow yourself to take a deep breath in and out. And then what we're going to do is really think about closing our eyes. So just allowing your body to rest, allowing yourself to be calm and comfortable. And as you take a deep breath in and out, letting go of any stress and any tension. And I want you to imagine a time that you were truly happy. A time where you were with friends or with family, where you had an amazing experience, a special moment in your life where you felt happy. And I want you to feel this emotion in your body. I want you to really think about how this emotion makes you feel. What does this energy feel like? And how does your different body parts react to this emotion? And now I want you to add a colour to this energy that's in your body. What colour comes to mind when you feel this emotion of happiness? Just allow yourself to take a deep breath in and out. Now this time, I want you to imagine a situation where you feel proud. It could be a proud moment for yourself. It could be a proud moment for somebody else. When was a time that you felt proud? And again, just notice how this feels inside. Notice how this is different to feeling happy. Just notice the energy going through your body right now. And add a different colour to this emotion. What does proud feel like and look like? What colour is it? Take a deep breath in and out. And this time we're going to do the same again, but for the emotion of being excited. What does excitement feel like to you? It might be you're excited because you're running your own business. It might be excitement because somebody has brought you a gift. What does excitement mean for you? And again, I want you to take a different colour and add it to that emotion. The next emotion I want you to imagine is love. What does love feel like in your body? What is it like? What is it like to be loved? What is it like to receive love and to give love? And just add a colour to this emotion. And the last emotion that we're going to be focusing on is hope. What does your body feel like when you think of being hopeful? What does hope mean to you? And how does that sit in your body? Again, taking a deep breath in and out. And this time, I want you to imagine a garden. A beautiful garden, and you're going to plant a seed. And when you're planting this seed, I want you to take one of those emotions, either being happy, proud, excited, filled with love, or being hopeful. Take that emotion and you're going to talk to the seed. You're going to say out loud this sentence. Hi, my name is, and then you're going to fill in the blank. Hi, my name is Emily. And you might want to try this with a different emotion. So if you tried happy the first time, you might try this with love this time. And see how you feel when you connect to a different emotion. Remember to say the sentences out loud, so all of those vibrations filled the room. Next, we're going to be thinking about our business idea. So for those of you who are already entrepreneurs, or you want to be thinking about starting a business, really allow yourself to answer these questions in your mind. What made you have this idea in the first place? When did this all happen? And how did you start? If you haven't started yet, you can think of how you're going to start in the future. And just taking all of those different answers, I want you to go back to the garden. I want you to think about that seed that you planted. But this time, you're going to water the seeds with how you feel. So when you answered the question, what made you start your business? How did you feel when you answered that? Allow yourself to water these seeds in your garden. Imagine the roots growing underneath. Imagine the little sprouts popping out of the seed. And with this same emotion, I want you to say this sentence out loud. I run my own company called, and then fill in the blank. I run my own company called Speaking Voices. Just allow that to sit. And if you want to, you can repeat it a few times as well, with a different emotion. And now, sometimes when we start businesses, it's not always about the idea or how we're going to start, but why? Why do we start the business in the first place? And this is where we want that seed to come to life. This is our vision, what we want to happen. So I really want you to answer these questions out loud when I ask them. Who do you want to help? Now, this may be different if you're providing a product and to a service. You might want to answer this question out loud by saying, I help, or I provide, or I offer, or I create, or I solve. What is it that you do? I help elderly people. I help corporate businesses. I help children. I help families. Who is it that you help? And this will almost give air to the seed that you've planted. We really want to imagine the seed blossoming. Allow yourself to take a deep breath in and out. And the next question I want you to answer out loud is, what do you want them to do? What do you want them to change? And you can start the sentence by saying, I want them to. And the answer could be, I want them to make their lives better. I want them to ease stress in the workplace. I want them to achieve confidence. What do you want them to do? And by answering this question, you're going to give love to this seed that you've planted in your garden. And finally, the last question that you're going to answer out loud. How are you going to do this? And you can start the answer by, I'm going to do this by, what is the answer? Don't think too much, just say what comes to mind. How are you going to do this? I'm going to do this by setting up social activities in the local area. I'm going to do this by offering wellness days. I'm going to do this by running holiday camps. How are you going to do what you're going to do? And I just want you to take a moment to allow yourself to breathe in and to breathe out. And just imagine the seed blossoming and it turning into something beautiful. What did you grow in this garden? And just allow yourself to take one last deep breath in and out. And when you're ready, just open your eyes and come back to the room around you. And now is the time to write down all of your words that you've spoken. So you would have answered and said a sentence with your name. Hi, my name is. You would have answered and said a sentence about your company. I run a company called. You would have answered, who do you help? I help, I provide. Same again, for what do you want them to do or change? And how are you going to do this? So I'll give you a few moments to write down exactly what you've spoken out loud. And once you've written down your sentences, you can simplify your words. You can start to edit them and this is normally how we would write a speech. We want to be able to speak it because that's the end goal with a speech, to speak the words. A lot of people, when they do a speech, when they prepare for a speech, they would write down the words, practice them, memorize them, and then speak it. But sometimes when you're speaking it that way, it can become a little bit robotic and not spontaneous. And then therefore it doesn't engage the audience. It doesn't inspire them in any way. When you're writing something, it's a different tone to when you are speaking. When you're writing, we all think in our head, and then whatever we think, we write it down on a piece of paper. But this way, when we are speaking it out loud, the words that we say already align to us. We don't have to think too much about what it is that we're going to say because it feels right inside. So the words that we say, if it's not hi, if you don't say hi, say hey, if that suits you. Everybody is different, and this is what makes everybody unique as well. So when you're simplifying your words, the first sentence of the last bit that we went through is, I help corporate businesses. I want to create ease. I want them to ease stress in the workplace. I do this by offering wellness days. Now we want to be able to think about the sentence structure. We don't want to repeat I too many times, so we can delete that. And then it becomes something a little bit more smooth. I help corporate businesses ease stress in the workplace by offering wellness days. And if you add the little bit at the beginning, you can add your name. Hi, my name is Jane. I run a company called XYZ. I help corporate businesses ease stress in the workplace by offering wellness days. And that is essentially your self-introduction. So now we're going to do a little reflection regarding this exercise that you've just gone through. What did you feel like you've learned from this exercise? And what did you find out about yourself? Because sometimes when we are running businesses or we have a business, we are very intertwined with our businesses. It's very hard to detach from our business. So how did this exercise help you? And what did you find out about yourself? And now if you were to rate yourself out of 10 again with your speaking skills, did that number change? I want to say thank you very much for coming to my mini workshop today. I have something really amazing to offer you guys, and this is all free, by the way. So if you scan the QR code, you'll get access to a form that you fill in with your email address and phone number. And I will give you access to my 10 steps guide to be able to improve your voice. So understanding a little bit more about how your voice works. And then also I'm giving you a 20-minute body scan meditation as well, which I have on YouTube. So this really allows you to focus on that relaxation, because when you're focused, you are able to feel confident, you're able to feel comfortable, and therefore, when you feel confident and comfortable, you can think clearly, and when you can think clearly, you can also speak clearly as well. And then I'm also offering a 1-hour free consultation. This is on limited, I would say, yes, very limited availability, but do, if you can, book yourself in for a 1-hour free consultation, and you can go through any questions you have with me in regards to your speaking skills, communication, public speaking. It could be, how do I speak louder? Or how do I engage an audience by changing my voice? Any questions that you have around talking, speaking. I think communication is such an important skill, not just to have for your business, but to be able to talk to anyone and everyone. And I always find that with my methodology, if you can speak to one person, you are able to speak to 1,000 people, because the principle is the same. You've got your body, you focus and relax the body, you clear the mind, and then whatever you say, your voice, it comes out naturally, and it comes from you, comes from the heart. So thank you very much for coming to this workshop today, and please do scan the QR code if you want to continue this speaking journey with me.